Vamos.
Sweet. That was the start of the stream as well. We've gone a bit rogue, bit niche with our intro today. Hello and welcome back to the FPL Tom preview stream. Some might say, just vamos. That works the best for any intro, to be honest. I am joined by my compatriot and good friend. I'm going to call you my good friend today. It is Jake. Jake, how you doing, mate? How's your day been?
I'm all good, thanks, mate. Been in work, found out he need one surgery on the knee, so that's good. The downside is debating a wild card, and you know what it's like. I'm sure people do know what it's like when you're debating a wild card. You ruin all, and you think, am I making the wrong decision here? So I'm sure you'll be able to give me some advice, but I think the comments will well and truly be on my side this time. Being like, God, you need to change that team.
Well, you say that, and I've had a look at it, and I definitely think there's maybe some reason that you might delay it. Maybe you might delay it. Maybe.
Right,
But
I'm intrigued.
We'll get onto that. We will get onto that. We'll also talk about our points in Game Week 9. We've also got the illustrious Bed Shitter of the Week, a classic competition that is sweeping the nation. The about 4 viewers that we get on this show every single week, they're loving it. It's getting out. Marcus Rashford came round the flat the other day. He collected his award.
Oh, did he come? Oh,
he
that's
actually
good.
came. He actually came. So I was really happy and really glad about that. So, he came round, picked up his award. All
Did you drop off your lunch as well?
He did. He did bring some lunch as well, which was very nice of him.
Nice.
Very considerate.
Bless him.
Yeah.
Fish fingers and beans or something.
Yeah. Well, I can't have the fish fingers. Don't really like beans either. So.
Did you tell him that, or did you just go?
No, I was a little bit starstruck, so I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna have to swallow the fish fingers right in front of his face and just hope for the best.
Yeah, regurgitate them later on.
Yeah. It doesn't really count, if you regurgitate them later.
I think that sounds, just frame him, I reckon. It's Rashford just had his fingers on your fish fingers.
Yeah. Doesn't sound dodgy at all. Doesn't sound very sketchy at all. Obviously, this stream has moved to Thursday just for this week. It will be back to Wednesday next week. Me and Jake, we decided we'd go out last night, went to a gig because we're that kind of people, we're pretty cool. So, yeah. All good stuff. There is a poll going off as well in the chat if you want to get your voting for that. It is the best captain for Game Week 10. We will end that a little bit later in the stream. So get your votes in for that and we will kind of discuss who potentially is the best captain for Game Week 10. But we're going to start off with Jake's team from Game Week 9. And you know what, Jake? It's been a good week for you for once.
It has.
Talk us through it, mate. Talk us through it.
I was just going to ask before I moved on to that. Do you vote for your captain in the poll, or do you just leave it for the others?
I just leave it for the randoms to have a go. You can have a vote if you want.
I'm literally just about to do that, hence why I was delaying.
Yeah.
Who shall I go for? Okay, I've done it. I'll tell you about my team now. No, it was a good week. Apologies for the fact that I've got to look on my phone, but I literally can just see Tom's profile picture on my screen on the laptop. But yeah, no, you're right. It did go a lot better than I anticipated, especially after I decided against captain and Salah purely because it was the early game. I did think Liverpool winning was a bit of a banker. I was like, it's either going to be a Liverpool win or we are. The only other option would have been a boring 0-0.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I guess it did look like that, and maybe it could have been if Ashley Young didn't get sent off. But yeah, I was a little bit. Am I going to regret not captaining Salah? Unfortunately, I wasn't regretting it too much. There's a couple of percentage of regret, I guess you could say, purely down to maybe a couple of points I lost for captaining Son instead. But he paid off, which is good. The rest of my team, not too bad, to be honest. I'm happy. Trent's finally done something for me. Don't think he's really warranting his expensive fee. But he at least got me a clean sheet, which I'm happy with.
Yep.
Anthony Gordon, Haaland and Solanke also performing. Solanke was a nice one to perform considering he was my transfer I made last week, so can't really complain about that. The rest, neither here nor there, to be honest, because my bench didn't do very well. So I definitely benched the right players, and the guys that played... I think I was a bit disappointed that Gibbs White didn't get involved, really, but I'm sure you'll talk about Nottingham Forest, not that it actually has anything to do with your actual FPL team, but Forest was a happy point in other areas for you, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then of course Villa West Ham. I feel like I could could have predicted that Villa and West Ham were both going to score, albeit West Ham's goal being a bit of a lucky one.
Well,
But it was just a deflection. I think wrong-footed Martinez. I know your team Bowen, but like you've got to understand.
yeah.
Maybe I think I was more disappointed that Cash just didn't get involved in the goals.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time you see Villa scoring more than 2 goals. Matty Cash has at least got an assist.
True.
But instead it was this rogue week for bloody Douglas Luiz. But yeah, on the whole, happy days, I would say. And like, yeah, dropping Pickford, I think, is the only a place I actually lost out on a point. But who would have thought like that would be any different? Who would have thought that Luton would come back and snatch a draw in that game? I certain. But,
not many people, to be honest, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think a fair amount of people that will have had Turner in purely down to his price will have gone for him, especially those that have decided to save as much money as they can by going for Areola and Turner. I think you would have backed Turner in those two. And of course, that would have probably proved dividends. But end of the day, I can't really have too many complaints with my team.
No, mate. I think you've done extremely well this week. About a 600,000 rank gain as well. Slowly starting to pull it back a little bit. You know, there's talk of the wild card this week. If it's a good wild card, it could really set you up for the next kind of 5, 6, 7 weeks, and maybe propel you into the top million. Maybe even join in the illustrious elite like me. You know.
I'm not gonna start speaking funny. To be fair,
Yeah.
I'm not deluded I may be deluded in my team selection, but I'm not deluded in how much I'm going to rise. But I'm enjoying it last night. To be honest, on a serious note, I actually do think I'm starting to take the game a little bit more seriously than maybe I did in the first few game weeks, just so that I didn't fall far away from the pack. And so yeah, it's paying off, like you said. It just depends on what I'm going to go for next week and maybe in the next few weeks to come, should I actually go ahead with this wild card. But the amount of times I've had options and had 4 or 5 players taken out, I'm like, is 5 players really enough for a wild card? I don't know. But then there's one particular player who I'll come on to that I really would like. Well, I'll just say I think everyone would love to have Ollie Watkins in their team right now. Just seems to just be a little bit too expensive, and I'm like, is it worth a -4, or do I just go gung ho and get rid of a few deadwood? Because there certainly is deadwood in my team. I would say that. Well,
let's have a look. Let's get it up on screen. We're gonna go through your team now. Come on, talk us through it. Give us it all.
Yeah, so I mean, starting with the keepers, I feel like we've had a chat before about the goalkeepers not really being that's important, and so maybe my keepers aren't the worst picks in the world. But I think if I were to wildcard, the only change I'd really make is take out Pickford and maybe bring in Areola, like you suggested, just purely for the price and for the fact that West Ham, I think you're back over Everton even to keep a clean sheet at this rate. I think their defeat to Villa is one of those. It's like when Brighton lost to Villa. Like Villa just seems to be a different thing at home.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that would be one place where the only reason I would ever consider taking a goalkeeper, making a goalkeeper transfer is if I were to make a complete wild card decision. But I'm not going to take a minus. Not going to use a free transfer on that. Yeah, I mean, looking through it, it doesn't look terrible. I mean, I've got Cash in my team here that it's on screen that I think I'd go with should I not make any changes.
Yeah.
Cash, Trent, and Gusto looks all right, but of course, as far as I'm aware, Reece James is fit after coming back to action against Arsenal.
Yeah, he is fit. But again, whether or not he plays is a different matter, isn't it?
True, but I don't see why he wouldn't if he's come off the bench. But at the same time, even if he doesn't start, you'd think he'd make some form of appearance.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is a bit of a shame, really, because it's probably the one game at the moment that Chelsea could keep a clean sheet in. Wow. Yeah, I know.
It's a big yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure about that one. I don't fancy Palace at the moment, even though you have a decent defensive record on the whole. Of late, they've been a little bit they have had some tough games, but that being said, I just don't see them keeping a clean sheet, even though it is the home game. The only thing going in their favour is a Friday night under the lights can always have an effect on the home side. especially a side like Palace who have got great fans. That could have an effect, but they're not playing Spurs of old.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say. Even if Spurs were to go and lose this game, I don't think you can say they've gone and pulled a Spursy, because on the whole of this season they have been really strong. They have been pretty consistent. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I can't see them keeping a clean sheet there. Hence why I've benched Gahey. Although I think in the long run he's not a bad defender to have. Charlie Taylor's just money saving expert, isn't he? He might as well be Martin Lewis.
Nice.
But yeah, so I feel like he's one of those really where it's not really worth getting rid, because I don't know, actually. I say that, but then I guess you could argue if you've got him in your squad, these are the games you should be playing him in. But the only reason I've benched him is because I've got Dominic Solanke up front. I feel like I don't like contradicting myself too much, because I did it for West Ham against Villa and it didn't really pay off either way. Paqueta and Cash only got 2 points apiece. So I like to commit to one side, really, if I can. I say that I've got Gibbs White in. I think that's the place I'd maybe be looking to. Maybe if I were not to take a wild card this week, I think Gibbs White's the guy that would maybe see his arse on the bench. Should he stay in my team, just so that it's not Trent against Gibbs White. He did actually score last season at Anfield, mind you. Paqueta, I just don't think he's really involved enough, to be honest. But then they're playing at home to Everton, so anything can happen there. And then, yeah, I like the other three in midfield. I like my strikers. I think I've seen quite a lot of people that have taken Haaland out and have done so already in wildcards. And I was looking at the people that are top 10 in the world.
Yeah.
And I think 7 of the 10 teams have not got Haaland in their squad. A few of them have gone to Watkins and a few of them have gone to Alvarez. And so it is something where it's paying off for them, and unless they have that magic touch to be able to bring him back at the perfect moment for him to start banging in the goals and outscoring the likes of Watkins and Alvarez, I don't have that magic touch. So I don't know if I'm going to tempt fate with that. Just because with Haaland he can just pop up any time and get a hat trick. But that being said, I don't know how it'll go in the derby. I'm not too sure. He's got a good record there. I mean, I don't know actually off the top of my head how many he scored apart from the hat trick he got. So that could be it. So maybe my judgment's a bit clouded by that one game. But even so, it just goes to show that he can be non-existent and then just pop up in any game. And yeah, I think on the whole, I don't mind the team like you said, and maybe you could take a transfer out, but then there's the likes of Gusto, there's Gibbs White, there's Paqueta. I don't like anyone on my bench for this game week, because I don't really want to be contradicting myself with Taylor and Solanke. And so that's why I'm do I risk just taking a -4? I don't know, because then maybe I could afford to get Gusto and Gibbs White on my bench or removed completely or whatever, because I think they're the two that would be axed from my team this game week ideally. But then I'm is a -4 a bit? Is that going to be a bit costly? And maybe I'm just worth just wildcarding. That's my dilemma, FPL Tom. So help us out.
It's a big dilemma. How much is Gibbs White, and do you have any money left in the bank?
Let me just have a little wander.
Yeah, go on. Let me know. Let me know if you do have any.
So Gibbs White's 5.8 mil, and I've got 1.2 mil in the bank.
Okay. So what you could do, and hear me out on this one. You could do Gibbs White to maybe Matoma.
Because they've got a really nice few games.
They've got a really nice stretch of 4 really good games, and even after that, game week 15 Brentford, game week 16 Burnley as well. So you wouldn't be desperate to take him out either.
Well, here's a contrary question. What about Adingra?
Adingra is a really good shout as well, to be honest. Obviously, Solly March is looking like it's going to be a long-term injury. So I think he's probably the only player realistically they're going to probably play on that right-hand side. I don't know if Ansu Fati can play on the right. Usually he's been playing kind of in the 10 and on the left, replacing either Matoma or João Pedro. So maybe they might put Ansu Fati out there. Maybe it might go even more rogue and just randomly switch it up and put some other youngster that we've never heard of from Peru or Bolivia or some other South American country that, is just nesting away in the reserve squad that might appear. But I definitely think Adingra could be a really good shout. 5 million does give you that extra option to kind of spread the funds, maybe get some other top players in. But I think I would still just prefer Matoma just for that little bit more. I feel he's like their key player that they're going to go towards this season. He's played 7 full 90s so far this year. He's also didn't go on international duty with Japan over the international break, so he's probably not going to need a break. I don't know whether or not he's playing tonight.
He's playing tonight, yeah.
Is he playing tonight?
He is, but so is Adingra.
Okay, so I do feel like those two, though, are like the best 2 options out wide. And I do feel like they do need to start picking up some points in the Premier League as well. They've not been the same consistent Brighton that we saw last year. And I think their best team is when, Matoma is on the pitch. So for me, I think he is going to play quite a lot of games, quite a lot of minutes. And yeah, I think it was a little bit overhyped at the start of the year that he would become a big potential rotation risk. But I think we saw his impact that he has in that game where he was benched in the first half and then came on at half-time and got 2 goals. Completely flipped the game on its head. So I definitely think he would be like a really good ideal replacement that you potentially could go for Gibbs White. And I think if you did that, I think the team would look very strong for this week.
Yeah, I do like that. The only alternative I'd say, though, is if I were to go for someone like Adingra and take that risk, I could then, in time, after Solanke's home game against Burnley, he's then got City and Newcastle. Not sure I fancy him there. And I could afford Ollie Watkins. So that's the only reason, because, of course, I have been quite keen to have Watkins in, especially with the run they've got. But then again, I am, in that way, missing 2 of his really good games.
Arguably missing this Luton game, aren't you? Which is, where you'd want him.
Exactly, and it's not worth a -4 to bring him in for Solanke at home to Bournemouth, at home to Burnley, sorry.
No, yeah.
I think the risk is too great. As much as Solanke could do absolutely nothing, the fixtures just doesn't make too much sense me making that move. But yeah, I'm not too sure. Like, I think I've got 1.2 in the bank because when I've been making transfers, I've been trying to save the money.
Yeah.
The other thing I've been thinking as well was if I were to do like a -4 as well. I know you say Gibbs White may be out for someone like Matoma. Is the thoughts of bringing Simicast in at the back?
Okay. I think you've already got Trent.
I could straight swap it even. That's what I'm considering because Trent is spenny.
We would free up a lot of money there.
They really would.
But then what would you do with that extra money? Would then you take a -4 and do Brozier to Watkins? Well,
it's definitely a possibility, isn't it? Because Brozier's just, I don't know what my head was thinking. It's just wasted a transfer there. It's just wasted an absolute. It's so foolish of me. Yeah. Speaking of Chelsea, I quite like Cole Palmer.
He is a really good shout, but the fixtures are quite stinky up until around game week 16.
Fair enough. Then again, he did score against Arsenal. I know it was a penalty, but I don't know if you watched the game. He was quite close to getting another.
Yeah, he has looked really good, and I definitely think he's going to be in a lot of people's plans come game week 16 when Chelsea's fixtures again have a nice little twist to them.
Tommy's 5 million.
Exactly, he is nice and cheap.
But
maybe then, lad, you could go Adingra for the next 4, and then Cole Palmer in a couple of weeks.
Or do I just go straight to Cole?
No, lad.
Who did Chelsea? They've got Spurs and City. You are right. Although he could watch him score against City.
He probably will. He'll wheel away. He'll do an Adebayor.
Yeah. I think a Brighton player. I definitely think Matoma's the wise shout, the sensible shout, and I think Adingra's one of those Jake shouts. Still understandable.
Yeah, I can get behind it.
I say it to Jake shout. You're the one that came up with him in the first place.
Whoa.
You deserve the credit for coming up with him because he is a good alternative. You were like, if you want to save some money, there's another guy, and I do think that is a good shout. It's just whether you want to go join the pack a little bit more and go for the guy that you would put your money on to be involved, or go for the guy that you just back to actually make an appearance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's good food for thought. I think after this, though, lad, I'm starting to think against actually doing this wild card this week.
Like I said, that's what I mean. I reckon as long as you can find someone that potentially could replace Gibbs White, I think you're going to be sound. You know what I
So you
mean?
think that's the place I should be looking at
Yeah.
this week? And what about my back three? Like, do you think I should be just sticking with that potentially, or would you just maybe, I don't know, would you recommend like I take a -4 so that I've not got Gusto in, or do you take the hit and just hope that Gusto plays the 60 minutes?
I'd take the hit and hope Gusto plays. Like, I don't think they're going to rush Reece James back, to be honest. Like, how many times have we seen it where he's been rushed back, plays 1 game or 2 games, he's injured? There needs to be a proper plan in place for him where he can be steadily reintroduced to the squad, just pick up steady minutes rather than just trying to like chuck him straight back in. I know he's a brilliant player, but it seems like they need to have a plan with him. And I think Gusto will play this weekend. And if not, Charlie Taylor.
Who would you have as first sub out of those two?
I'd probably have
Taylor's the 1-point maestro.
I'd probably have Charlie Taylor, I probably would have Charlie Taylor.
I saw your tweet the other day, lad, about Charlie Taylor, and it wasn't promising.
We won't come onto my team then, because Charlie Taylor might be back in the team, to be honest.
Oh, Tom, but I've got Solanke.
You do have Solanke, lad, but I think I'd keep the back three, and I'd only change it. I'd only do Trent down to Tsimikas and Brozier up to Watkins if you were very confident that Watkins was going to slap this weekend.
Yeah, I understand that, and that would be a -8 then, wouldn't it? So it's like, because I would need the funds from Gibbs White as well. I still don't think I'd have enough for Watkins without both of them being taken out. I don't think so.
Brozier's 5.5, isn't he?
Um,
Brozier's 5.5. So Trent is 7.9, and you'd be taking him down to 4.5. So yeah, you'd have enough, wouldn't you?
Let's just do it then, shall we?
Let's just have a look, shall we? Come on.
All right. So Trent out.
Yeah. This is riveting content for people at home.
7.9 down to 4.5, so I've got 4.6 in the bank. Oh yeah, no, you are right. I do have enough.
See? Maths.
Then you could have, but then it's still the Gusto thing. Yeah, I think you are. It's -4 territory though. That's the only thing, isn't it? But then are Villa home to Luton?
Yes, they are.
Oh, that's a bit smelly. I don't know. It's good food for thought. Maybe I just do both of them and then bring Palmer in.
Yeah, just these sensible
Actually, I might
transfers.
Philip Billing, lad.
You know what, Phil
no.
Billing.
Been talking sensible. Let's just stay on track.
Lewis Saxton has recommended Douglas Luiz. He's top of our fantasy league. What do you think about Douglas Luiz?
I do like Douglas Luiz, but I feel like he's one of those that will get a goal or two every now and then, and he's just in a mad purple patch of the fact that Villa have got a few penalties.
Yeah.
I think the fact that they're home to Luton, I could see him getting a goal, to be fair, but at the same time, I think there are so many Villa options. I think Luiz it's been a great pick from Lewis.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know. I don't back it. I don't see the longevity in that one.
No, I agree with that. The 4 goals that he scored so far, 3 have been from the spot. So how reliable are penalties? And I think his open play expected goal involvement non-penalty is like 0.2 per 90, which is not really, anything to kind of shout about, to be honest. Apparently you're my dad as well, Jake.
Did you not know?
I didn't know, to be honest, mate. I know there's a bit of an age difference, but, not too much. Me and Jake aren't related. We're both very good-looking lads, but, both similar facial hair, a little bit of curly on top.
Hey, we'll have even similar facial hair soon if you get that razor out.
Well, I did forget to get the mustache, but we'll come on to that. Maybe with my captaincy shout, it might be, But Salah's got a beard, so I feel like I have to have the beard for Salah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. No one's got a mustache though, really, in the Prem.
No, there's no one cool enough to kind of rock. I feel like Lewis Dunk would look saucy with a tash.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or like I think Bruno Guimaraes.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. I think like we said, Jake. I think that's the plan. I think I'd probably lean in more against a wild card this week. And you can either do the -4 and get Watkins in if you think,
he's going to perform.
Yeah, he's going to absolutely slap it, or go and get Matoma and play the good Brighton fixtures for Gibbs White. I'm absolutely getting slandered in the chat. I'm not good looking, apparently. So that TPS player's absolutely had me on strings. Yeah.
Is there a reason why that TPS player's profile picture is not a picture of himself?
Well, this is the thing, We just have to answer these questions, but, let's move on before we get done for, like, internet bullying like a 16-year-old or something, because that's realistically what it'll be. And then we're going prison. You know the convictions we've already got with children as well. We're on a tightrope. The tag's going off a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's made us bite. We've bitten.
Yeah, we've bitten, and that's not cool. That's not cool.
No.
Let's move on. Let's talk about my team. Let's talk about game week 9 and how it wasn't very good. 72 points for me, about a 250,000 rank drop. Not great. Got captaincy wrong. Haaland did score, but Salah outperformed him. Son outperformed him as well. So if I'd have gone either of those two picks, I would have potentially stayed about the same, rather than having a little rank decrease, which isn't great. Jared Bowen with his goal, happy days. No one in the back line keeping a clean sheet, brilliant. Turner, they were 2-0 up. It was looking very comfortable.
Dogie.
Yeah, a Dogie coming off in the 56th minute. That was just painful. Charlie Taylor, like I tweeted out the other day, is never making my team again, or is he? But he's the biggest fraud going for 3.9 million. Diaby is very frustrating to watch. Like, he created so many opportunities for Watkins, and Watkins squandered every single one of them. I think he could have come away from the first half with 2 assists, and I'd just been like, you know what, happy days. But it didn't happen, and then he got subbed off, and Leon Bailey scored. And Leon Bailey scored again tonight. So now I'm starting to think, is Diaby nailed? I think he still is, because he had a really good game. He was very impactful on the game, created plenty of opportunities, which I think would have impressed Emery. He's not one of these people that's just going to sit there and be like us, where oh, he didn't score, or he didn't do this. He's looking at it more from a performance-based thing, and he was so good in the game. And you would think against Luton, he should get a chance to at least score or get an assist. Or you'd hope.
Ollie Watkins has scored again.
Wow. Okay. He's coming in the team then tonight. Rasmus Højlund, yeah. It was a wild card pick. I wanted him in here for the Sheffield United fixture. And he barely made this, he just made the 60th minute mark, which was annoying. It was very frustrating, to be honest. So yeah, it's just not gone well. It's not gone well, has it, to be honest?
It's not, but then the thing is with Højlund, isn't that the kind of person that turns up in a derby?
It would be, lad, but just wait till you see what I'm planning, because it's better. It's better than Rasmus Højlund.
Oh, no.
I usually give these idiots a chance to prove themselves. I usually go, you know what? I'm going to let the idiots stay. But now I'm being a little bit more cutthroat this year, and I'm not sticking around with the losers that don't get points. All right? Feast your eyes on this bad boy. It is a -4 that we will be taking. I've got 2 free transfers.
Are you committed to that?
Pretty much. I'm just waiting for everyone to get through tonight. If there's any injuries or whatever, I'll make the move tonight to beat any price changes. But the two free transfers that I would make would be Botman to Gabriel, as Arsenal have really good fixtures. Sheffield United this week. They do play Newcastle next week, but Mark Gahey can cover him there, so that's fine. The Udogie injury, hopefully we can get some early team news on that. Postecoglou said he's going to be out training today, and they'll kind of make a judgment on him kind of late towards the start of the game. So hopefully we get a little bit of early team news on that. If he's fit to play, he'll replace Charlie Taylor, so that's no issues there. Matoma's coming in for Maddison. Obviously, Maddison scored. Great. He's been a really good player. But if you watch the game on Monday night, for large parts of the game, he was playing quite deep, almost like a 6, picking up the ball and kind of distributing it that way. And I don't know whether or not that's because Basuma is suspended and Højbjerg and Sarr don't have the capabilities to kind of do that job. You know, they're not that type of midfielder, so maybe they don't have the kind of technicality and the kind of skill set to be able to, you know, ping the ball, progress it. So that's why Maddison has had to drop. But I watched the game and I just thought, I think I could get a better player in here. And with Spurs' fixtures kind of tailing off now, starting to pick up some, you know, more difficult fixtures, I just think going for someone like Matoma, having a little bit of fun with their kind of 4-5 stretch of fixtures and just attacking it and just, you know, having a little bit of fun, going against the curve, see what happens. And then obviously the man up front, Ollie Watkins, absolutely decimating the game at the moment. Since Unai Emery's appointment, he's picked up the same amount of attacking returns as Haaland, which is absolutely mental to think, isn't it? So I feel
I think he must still be the highest scoring player on the game, mustn't he?
Yeah, I believe he is, you know. That's a very good shout. Let's have a look. But yeah, he's absolutely smashing it this season. Villa's next 4 fixtures are immense. And I even think through that, Watkins might be one of those players that I just hold kind of long term. You know what I mean? There aren't any other strikers out there that you're thinking, yeah, I really fancy them. Like everyone else around that price point, there's like rotation. There's just all sorts of kind of other things happening. Maybe I just switch him to Julian Alvarez when City's fixtures turn good again. But, you know, that's something to have a look at. 70...
Oh, Salah's not.
Salah's 5 ahead, but you would expect that with a midfielder, obviously picking up that extra point for clean sheets, extra point for goals and stuff like that. But still, having an amazing season, above Haaland for points as well, above Julian Alvarez, absolutely killing it at the moment. So I think for the next few fixtures, I think it's a real no-brainer, to be honest. I just wanted your thoughts kind of on the -4 and whether or not you think it's a good idea, to be honest, mate.
I think so. I think that is a good idea. I don't think you ever thought there'd be a time where you'd have 3 Villa players in your team. No. I think Lewis Saxton will be frothing at the mouth that none of them are Douglas Luiz. But no, I think it's a really strong team. I can understand why you've taken all the players out. Yeah, I think it looks good. Would you ever consider like going from Diaby to Gordon at some point or something like that?
I think that is the plan. So once Villa's next 3 fixtures are done, I would probably either go Diaby to Palmer, downgrade, free up a little bit of money, or Anthony Gordon's a really good shout as well. And then maybe just see who else is kind of popping and who else's fixtures are kind of good around that point. But I definitely think Diaby is the player that would be on like a tightrope out of this whole team, to be honest. Like he would be the one that I would be looking to potentially get rid of in the next few weeks.
Yeah, definitely. I see that.
But yeah, I think the -4's needed. Like Eddie Howe's absolutely shafted me. Wildcarded, put Botman in because he was like, yeah, he'd be back after the international break. Don't worry about it. It's all cool, man. And then he isn't, is he?
Is he cheaper than Gabriel?
No, they're the same price.
Like, is it worth just waiting one more week? Because they are away to Wolves.
Who?
I know Arsenal's fixture is absolutely fantastic, and you would bank on a clean sheet, but you're asking that's -4.
But Botman's injured.
Is he fully injured?
Yeah.
And has he been given a date?
13th of November.
Ah, yeah, okay. Well, ignore everything I've just said. No, fair enough. Oh, so it's just he said he'd be back after the international break, and he's just said, "Sorry, I lied to you."
Yeah, he basically genuinely came out and just said, "I've lied. It's actually looking a lot worse than we thought."
Oh, jeez.
So
fair enough.
Yeah.
And so it was Matoma for Maddison, purely to free up funds for Watkins, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it all makes sense, to be honest. Who did Watkins come in for? Højlund? Ooh.
It's risky, but you know.
It is, because it just would be so typical of someone like that. Like, it just always seems to do all those classic derbies. Someone new scores. Now you've got like Rashford, you've got Van Persie, you've got Haaland, you've got, I don't know, I can't think of Michael Owen. Like just random players that like don't really do much for the team, or they may they may be there for a short period of time. So even the likes of Van Persie, he wasn't there for that long, but he still made a name for himself in the derby. And and I know he had a great season, don't get me wrong, but I just mean like whenever someone new enters that derby, they seem to just have that extra little bit of life.
Mm.
So I think to be fair, I'm splitting hairs, just trying to be devil's advocate. I like the team. I think the -4 is sensible, but at the same time, maybe Hoyland will come back to haunt you.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
It's just because I think the Botman one makes sense now that you've explained it.
Yeah.
Because it's not like your defense has really got that much alternative or like backbone if he wasn't to play.
No.
Like if you didn't make that transfer, you do need that because Gahey doesn't seem like the most. Or if you just, yeah, I think you're with me. Like he'll concede a goal, like most certainly you'd expect.
Yeah.
Charlie Taylor, 1 point guaranteed.
Yeah. That's what I want.
I get that. I get that, and I get Mitoma to like you've got the 2 transfers, and it's like preempting Watkins coming in, but Watkins. No, to be fair, I'm saying it, but like as I say it, I'm like, there, he's home to Luton.
You have to play that fixture, don't you? You have to play that fixture and be like, Well, I think this leads.
Sensible.
I think this leads nicely on to ending the captaincy bowl. To be honest, I keep saying it. So let's have a look who won that. It was surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, after the recent performances, Mo Salah with 68% of the votes, then Watkins, then Haaland, and then I put Son in there, but he got 0% of the vote. So I wanted to ask you about Watkins, to be honest, as a potential captaincy. Like, we're both theoretically potentially bringing him in for a -4. So do you think to justify our -4, captaining Ollie Watkins would make it worth it?
I think so, but then like you are relying heavily on that paying off, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because like if you bring him in and he costs you that -4 because he doesn't do like for you, say Hoyland like gets a goal and Watkins just plays the game, you may have missed out there. But if you've captained him and you were gonna captain Salah, who on paper has got a fantastic game there and is in like exceptionally good form, I think you proper kick yourself. But then again, if it pays off and if Watkins does absolute madness, and if you are that confident that he's gonna do something in a game where, like you said, it's a fixture where you kind of have to just back him in the form that he's in the form Villa are in at home against a side that are struggling, I feel like it is a really sensible risk to make, but it is a double whammy risk, isn't it? So bringing him in is already a risk. Then you're even doubling your odds on the risk, but I feel like you have to just back Watkins in a situation like that. So the people that are going to captain him, I understand it. The people that have brought him in maybe for a minus, I understand it if you captain him. But I am Team Salah this weekend. I doubted him last weekend, and I think I'm going to back him this weekend. I don't fancy Forest defensively. Don't fancy us defensively. Maybe Gibbs White coming out of my team will be something I'll regret. But I do feel like Salah will contribute something to that game, and I can see that game. Well, I mean, I'm sure you'll ask me, but I could see that game being one of the highest scoring, if not the most goals galore across the weekend.
Yeah, definitely. We've had a few. We haven't had any questions. I was reading the wrong part of the chat. Watkins and Gabriel prices are most likely to rise tonight, so I might have to make the moves early. I'll just see the press conferences post-game, make sure no one's picked up any injuries. Josh AFC's in the chat as well, a legend of these streams. Hopefully see you in the deadline stream tomorrow, Josh. We're going to move on. We're going to move on to our favourite segment of the show. It is Bed Shitter of the Week. We've had some top quality winners, Nicholas Jackson, Marcus Rashford, but we're back again for Game Week 9. Jake, who was your Bed Shitter of the Week for this week?
Oh, I feel like I don't believe I'm saying this, but I feel like you could even put a fairly decent argument in for Haaland.
Okay. I mean, he scored.
He scored, of course he scored, but like I feel like we've said that before. I think I've mentioned it a couple of weeks ago in a stream saying that I think you're a bit disappointed because everyone's captaining Haaland, and I know it's trickling out a little bit more. Yeah. But at the start of the season, you'd be captaining him, and I was going, and I think even at 1 week you went for Salah or something like that in a tricky game week for Haaland. I think we said like Haaland scoring a goal isn't the end of the world. It's the fear of him scoring multiple and getting more than just that one goal. And I feel like him scoring a goal is actually beatable, like it's been proven by Son and Salah this weekend. I feel like if you've got the likes of Son, Salah, um, even Bruno to some extent, Madison, and then you've got Haaland, like a mix of those players. Most of the time, I would say one of two of the other players alternative to Haaland are going to do more than just score a goal,
Yeah.
and all of the players I mentioned are midfielders, so they're going to get more points. So I feel like Haaland scoring, yeah, it's an improvement from what he's been doing in like most of the previous weeks, say like 3 weeks. He's just been a bit off the boil. But even so, like I feel like people that will have captained him and gone, it's Haaland, he's home. I know like Brighton can be a bit like have had a bit of a rough few away games. Um, you'd fancy him to just bang back into form. Him scoring and seeing Salah getting 2 goals, seeing Son getting a goal and assist. Um, people bringing in Alvarez, and I feel like the people that have stuck by Haaland and will have even captained him don't know what fools will have done that. May
Idiots.
just ruin it a little bit and may just be like, it's a bit of a shame that he's not really hitting the heights that you'd expect. So you know what? I'm going to lock in on Erling Haaland.
Wow. Big one. Big one. I don't think he's going to win it, though, lad. Because
Okay.
the player that I'm going to pick, he's on screen right now. It isn't Marcus Rashford. I'm gonna cut through that suspense, that layer of suspense that I very prematurely built up. Marcus Rashford, people kept him in. This was their final week before the wild card, their final kind of chance for him to do something. Sheffield United, you'd expect Marcus Rashford to deliver. He didn't, yet again. Just very disappointing. He's been one of those players that some people will have held him since game week 1, and he's just failed to deliver every single week, frustrated his owners, left them in the dust when other players like Madison, Son, even Bruno to some extent has been picking up more attacking returns, left them in the dust. But I'm not going to go with Rashford, even though he did stink it up. I'm going to go with Udogie because I feel that pain. He is my contender for bed shitter of the week this week because coming off in the 56th or 55th minute is painful. All he had to do was just hobble on for another 5 minutes and pick up people so many more points. But no, he went, sorry guys, I don't quite fancy it today. So I'm going to come off in the 55th minute and just ruin everyone's day and pick up a solitary point. That's for Charlie Taylor, pal. Don't be taking his one utility away from him. Leave that for Charlie. That's all he's got in FPL. You, Udogie, you're meant to be, better at doing things like this. So he's going to be my pick and my contender for bed shitter of the week. So I'm going to put the poll up now. So we've got Haaland.
I actually think Rashford's a big Derby boy as well.
Oh, here he comes. Coming back, is he?
Hey, also another news. Guess who scored for West Ham?
Is it Bowen?
No, it's Paqueta.
I think you've got to keep him in then, haven't you?
Think so. They did lose though. But yeah, no, I don't think it's plain sailing, that Haaland or Udogie. I think I made a good argument for that. I get that Haaland got points, full stop, but Haaland's on another level to everyone else.
Yep, get your votes in now. The Bed Shitter of the Week award is available for you to vote on. So get your votes in. Do get your votes in, ladies and gentlemen. I can see Jake's put his vote in because it went straight to Haaland. 100% for Haaland.
Oh, no, lad, I haven't voted yet. What are you talking about?
What? I don't know about all that. But yeah, get your votes in. We will stay live for about 10 or 15 or so minutes. I know Jake wants to dash off for the Liverpool game and leave us to kind of, fester in our own muck and kind of get back to our regular boring lives. But we'll ask him some questions before that, and we'll ask you guys to get your questions in as well. Make sure you do get them in, and we will try to answer as many as we can. Josh AFC is going to be in the deadline stream tomorrow. If you want to come along to that, it's starting at 4 o'clock for the 6:30 deadline, live on YouTube and on TikTok. Jamie Hayes as well, another regular in both this stream and the deadline stream. He's asked, what's up with us? Quite a lot, to be honest. We've both got, just mentalness. Absolutely mentalness.
Hey, side note.
Go on. Hit me.
Is the derby on Sunday at 3:30?
Yes, it is.
Is there a reason for that?
I have no idea. I genuinely like. There's a game at 1 o'clock as well, and I thought like the clock's going
It must
back.
be the Super. Yeah, it must be the Super Sunday then.
Yeah, the clock's going
Oh, the
back, which
clock's
is
going
weird.
back.
Yeah.
So does that mean it's going to be?
But no, but then if you look at the following week, everything's back to normal, like 2 o'clock.
Oh, my head's fallen.
It's
right
just
off.
one weird week. I genuinely don't know why they've done it like that.
Strange, because that'll be the Super Sunday, won't it?
Yeah,
West Ham.
yeah.
So does that mean Liverpool once again are not on telly?
Yeah, not on telly. But next season,
And
that is going to change.
As well. Yeah, that'll be good. I like that. It's good news.
Yeah, that is really good news for UK residents. That there's going to be more games. All the Sunday games will be broadcast, which is always what you want to see. Jake, I'm going to ask you the old faithful question that happens every stream. Who is going to be the highest scoring game this game week?
I think I'm going to just stick with it, and I'm going to say that Liverpool Forest will be. I can see both teams scoring in that. Surprised you haven't actually mentioned your favourite at the moment in your FPL draft. But
no, good old Chris Wood.
Yeah, Chris Wood in your FPL draft, and he's come up trumps last week, didn't he?
What can I say? Just inspired pick. I'm just a tactical genius for the 1 week punters. But I think that raises a very good point, though, that if Chris Wood can get a brace and should have arguably scored 4 goals against Luton, what could a better forward like Ollie Watkins do against them?
Precisely.
You know what I mean? If Chris Wood, no form, just been slapped straight into the team, I'd love to see the last time he scored a Premier League goal before that, because I'm imagining it was quite a few months ago. Maybe it might not have even been this year. You know what I mean? It could have been ages ago since Chris Wood.
I mean, he's definitely not scored a brace for a while.
No, that would be going back a couple of years, to be honest, like since his Burnley days. So we're really, delving through the what's the word? Archives? Is that the word?
Yeah. No, to be fair, he probably got a brace for Newcastle.
I definitely didn't.
Oh, I don't know about that, lad.
I don't know about all that. If you do know the answer to that question, do get it in.
When did Chris Wood last score a brace before the last weekend?
For my highest scorers game, that didn't even come out. For my highest scoring game, I'm going to go with the classic one. I'm going to go Bournemouth-Burnley. I feel that's got a goal fest written all over it. And if you can't detect sarcasm, maybe
Hey, that's fine.
sorted out.
As long as Charlie Taylor scores a screamer.
Yeah. Charlie Taylor has like a mad one, fizzes it in the top corner. If Charlie Taylor scores, next Wednesday's stream is going to be very spicy. Let's put it that way. But yeah, in realistic terms, it's probably going to be maybe Villa Luton, maybe Brighton Fulham as well. Both teams quite leaky at the back. Maybe even the Manchester derby. Maybe City turn it on. I know they've been really poor recently. Maybe this is the game where they just show like, yeah, we're back. Demolish United, you know what I mean? So I could see that happening.
I'm trying to multitask here, and it's proving extremely difficult.
Are you trying to find out when Chris Wood last scored a brace?
I'm trying to find out when Chris Wood last scored a brace in the Premier. It's not looking great.
It's not looking great for old Chrissy, is it?
No.
Speaking of 1 week punts, who do you think is going to be the highest scoring player this week?
I think you've got to go with Watkins. To be fair,
It's probably a very sensible shout, isn't it?
Maybe an honourable mention for Douglas Luiz.
Maybe we're laughing at him, but it could very easily happen yet again and break all our hearts. Apart from FPL Saxon, he's flying away with it, isn't he? In our mini league, absolutely flying away with it.
And in the world,
yeah, he's about 20k.
No, lad, he's like 13.
Jesus. All right, we better stop praising him. His head's not going to be able to fit through his door in a minute.
You got some work to do, lad.
I've got some work to do to pull it back, but you know what? That's what we like. We like a little bit of a challenge. Jamie says he's going with Watkins. He's got his armband. We obviously spoke about that as well. Maybe it might be a late one where I get tempted on deadline day, Maybe I go Watkins. Could happen. Could happen. Very easily could happen. Right, where's this poll?
Yeah, we're just gonna message my mum to vote for Haaland dead quick.
I'm just gonna end it now. Actually, and I've just ended it right now. So your bed shitter of the week, with an astounding 66% of the votes, it is a Doji. So congratulations. Is his name Destiny? His first name's Destiny, isn't it? Destiny Adoji. If you want to come round to the flat, collect your award. Come and collect your bed shitter of the award. Come tell Nicholas Jackson as well. He's still got his 2 to pick up after a few weeks away from him. So congratulations to Adoji for being our bed shitter of the week, picking up your 1-pointer and coming off early indeed. Jamie said Salah has been too good the past 2 games, and he can't see it happening again.
He's definitely one of those that said he was a 1-season wonder.
The thing is, though, you do see it happen all the time where you're like, he's been quite good. And then
is he not the same guy that's going with Watkins? Sorry?
Yeah. Watkins is the very same kind of logic. Watkins has been slapping.
But he's saying Salah's been too good the past few weeks. He's going to go blank. Watkins has been going really well for about 4 weeks, at least.
True.
So where's the logic there? There's absolutely no logic there whatsoever.
So if you want to come back to next week's stream where we'll slam another subscriber in the face for, posting their thoughts and comments, do come back. We will wrap it up there so Jake can dash off and watch his beloved Liverpool play in, a tin pot European competition. It's not the Champions League, is it?
Yeah, we've just got to try not to lose.
Oh, Jesus. Whew. And if anyone's interested in potentially becoming a new co-host for this show as well, good rank required. Good banter as well is needed. Oh, Jamie's meant it because he has had Salah as his captain for the past 2 weeks.
Fair enough. I don't think you need that logic to be about Salah. To be fair about Salah, I just think Watkins is a better choice, but I don't think Salah. I don't think you should need to justify going for Watkins over Salah purely because Salah's been too good recently. I just think Watkins has got a better fixture. Yeah. Like the team are playing better. I think at home Villa seem to be more. What's the word? They just seem to be blowing teams away at home. Liverpool, you can 9 times out of 10 back to win at home, but Villa seem to be getting a bit of breathing space against their opposition each week.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I agree with the Watkins captain. I can't argue with it, but no need to justify it, Jamie, by putting my man Mo down.
Like I said, we will leave it there. I will be live tomorrow at 4:00 on YouTube and TikTok for the FPL deadline stream. So if you do have any questions for that, come along to that, get your questions in, and we always have a good time on there. And we're trying to hit 2,500 subs as well. So if you want to help us out with that, we're getting super close to that goal and would be absolutely amazing if we could smash through that. But thank you very much for watching today's stream and good luck this game week.